Every few years, there's this sentiment that I see on Twitter that video games are supposed to be some type of well-polished, super efficient, elite code style of development. And those people have clearly never shipped a game. Games are chaotic and full of awful code. To put it into simple terms, the best games are made of spaghetti. Roll intro. Now, if you're not in the world of programming, you're probably wondering, what do I mean by spaghetti? Now, I'm not trying to be funny. This is a real term that we use in the world of computers. According to Wikipedia, spaghetti code is a pejorative phrase for unstructured and difficult to maintain source code. Spaghetti code can be caused by several factors such as volatile project requirements, lack of programming style rules, and software engineers with insufficient ability or experience. So when I say the best games are made of spaghetti, I mean that they do not meet the high standard of programming or even project management. And I'll explain why, but first let's look at some examples. I'm sure you've heard of a little game named Undertale, or perhaps Balatro. These are both games in the last few years whose code has been ridiculed and dissected all over the internet. But do you know what they also have in common? They've sold literally over 1 million copies each. How many people can say that about literally anything they've ever made? So why are we being so critical of their work? I think this comes down to a fundamental misunderstanding of what it takes to make a game. And also this toxic culture that developed in the world of software engineering. Programming in general can be very technical, and oftentimes there are multiple solutions to a problem, but there are better solutions to problems. And what some might claim is the best solution to a problem in terms of efficiency, which can be defined in a number of ways that I'm not going to get into because that wasn't the point of this video. What I'm getting at is, as a result of this, now this culture of if you're not doing the best method of doing something, then you are obviously doing it wrong, which is an insane take. I have this Jolly Rancher, and I can eat it in a number of ways. I can savor it and let it dissolve, I can crunch it up, or I can swallow it whole. Now, one of these methods is the fastest. Some might say the most efficient, but I think you'd be hard-pressed to find someone willing to do that. Or let's take another example. I have this roll of tape. I need to get it into a box across the room. The absolute fastest and most efficient way is for me to throw it into the box basketball style. Kobe! But maybe I have really bad aim and I'm not so great at basketball. Am I gonna spend 6 months training to perfect my hook shot? Or am I gonna walk over to the box and place the tape inside? Probably the latter. Many times when it comes to indie games, developers have to wear multiple hats. They are not going to be the best trained professionals in the world, so why would they program like they are? That doesn't make any sense. Not to mention the time constraints or even budget concerns. For many games, it's more important that the studio doesn't run out of funding before finishing the game than if a load screen takes 1 second longer. It has never been and it will never be that there is a singular optimal solution for every problem. Everyone's needs and projects has different requirements and boundaries that they need to fit in. I had a professor in college once that no matter what code you wrote, if you can justify it, he wouldn't ding you any points. Because that's how real life works. In my day job as a software engineer, sometimes we write less efficient code because the more efficient code would be harder to read and debug. Readability over complexity every single time. Who cares if this code runs a millisecond faster if it's gonna take me 2 minutes to understand what's even happening? Computers have gotten so fast and so powerful. Many times the concern of what you're making is the most efficient or not doesn't really matter, especially depending on your core audience. For example, I'm making a game for mobile called My Demon Academia. I don't care how well it runs on an Android phone from 10 years ago, because those people are not gonna be buying the game. It is literally a waste of time for me to worry about that. Now, in the case of Balatro, it was called out for having a file with a bunch of if-else statements. And guess what? It doesn't matter. It works for the game, it's easy to understand, and the dev knows the system well and how to navigate it. That's literally all that matters. For Undertale, they talk about this really long switch statement. And I ask once more, who cares? These aren't flight systems, this isn't the nuclear football. What does it matter how the game was made if it runs and works well? Which, you know, the 3.5 million copies of Undertale that sold seem to be proof of. I absolutely hate the weird elitist software engineering takes that everything that you program has to be the top of the line and the most efficient thing possible. Because any decent programmer will tell you that in 6 months, you will look back on code you've written in disgust. We are always learning and improving. That's just how it goes. So sorry if I'm the one to spoil it to you that your favorite games probably has some awful spaghetti-like code. Because the best games are not only focused on efficiency, they're focused on your overall experience. Anyways, that mostly ends my rant. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and drop a comment below so that the algorithm shows me some love. Also, please subscribe. I know you probably hear people say it all the time, but it really does help the channel. And it expands on what I'm able to do. I have some really cool projects planned, and it's dependent on the success of this channel. My name's Tez Fraser, and I'll catch you in the next one.